So you want to practice silence and solitude. Now what? In this video, I'm going to lay out 2 practices on how you can engage in silence and solitude. One of them will be particularly around daily times of silence, and the second one will be around extended periods of solitude on a periodic basis. This is all in alignment with our Formed to Flourish series, specifically our focus on the slowdown disciplines of silence, solitude, and Sabbath. If I were to say it simply, we would encourage silence to be a daily practice, Sabbath to be a weekly practice where you're learning to rest, to worship Him, and to delight in Him in all of the various ways you can. And solitude would be on a periodic basis, all emulating the life of Jesus. So to begin, let's focus on the first discipline of silence and the daily practice of that. So step 1, and the first thing you need to think about, is you need to identify a 5 to 10 minute period where you can be silent. I would encourage a few different things in regards to this. One is to do it a little bit shorter time than what you think you should. Start with 5 minutes. As you go into it, you'll realize that what feels like eternity is actually only a few moments. And so start where you can be successful and then build your muscle so you can have extended periods of time in silence. I'd also encourage you to think about the time of day that you could do it. My encouragement would be to do it earlier in the morning as opposed to doing it later in the evening. In my experience, what I've done is there's been times when I do it after I get to work and I'm like, okay, I get my kids ready, I get the day going, I get to my office, and then I'm like, okay, now's my time to rest. But the problem is that my mind is already racing and my heart's already going about all the things that I have to do today. So that requires more energy to slow down so that I can actually be present with the Lord. And so if you start it earlier on, it's a little bit easier. I'd also encourage families for you to think of where this can take place. You may need to find a new location. It may not be best to do it in your bedroom. It may not be best to do it at your desk or your work office. It may be best to do outside. Wherever it may be, a location where you can actually engage in silence. The second step is quiet the noise. This is removing any of the distractions that are around you that will limit your ability to be silent. This includes any technology, removing your phone or your computer. It may mean, as we talked about a moment ago, removing yourself and going to another location. Whatever it may be, do whatever you can to limit and remove the distractions that are getting in the way of you being able to be silent. Number 3, do a breathing centering prayer. Now, this is what I mean by that, and this may sound a little bit weird, but the way that God has wired our bodies, breathing actually has the ability to physiologically change our emotional state. It calms us down, it lowers the adrenaline in our heartbeat. And so this is joining within how God created us so that we can learn to be present in the moment. And so this is how you go about doing that. You take deep breaths in through your nose, hold it for a second, and exhale slowly out your mouth over a long period of time. Inhale through the nose, hold, and exhale through your mouth over a long period of time. Notice how it calms your heart. It calms your way of being in that moment. This is also going to be an opportunity for you to notice that there's a lot of chatter going in your heart and in your mind at the time. Your mind will likely try to use this as an opportunity to all the to-do lists, all the tasks, all the feelings and emotions and all these things that are going to try to distract you. That's going to happen. You're going to think of all the different bunny trails that you can do. when you find yourself going there, this is when you go back to this step. Go back to the centering prayer. Father, I give this time to you. You breathe in as if you're breathing in the Spirit and the breath of life as Adam and Eve did, and you're just exhaling all that stuff that's going on in your heart. This is centering you, allowing you to be present with the Father. The fourth thing is do an emotional check-in. After you're at a place where you are calm enough, start to identify and notice what's actually going on in your heart. Not just the chatter, but what emotions are coming to the surface. Are they big emotions? Are they small emotions? Are they happy? Are they sad? Are they angry? Are they joyful? Are they full of gratitude? Do you notice emptiness or fatigue? Maybe shame, as if this is you shouldn't be able to do this. You're not right, or you're guilty. Whatever it may be, notice whatever it is. It's not an opportunity to judge it. It's just a recognition and naming of what those are. And I would even encourage you to name it to the Father. Father, I'm feeling this. God, and you may not know why those emotions are there. That's okay. But it's just the naming of them. So this isn't a time to run away. This is a time to enter into His presence. Not to avoid emotional pain, but to enter into it with the Father. To meet it head on with His strength and in His presence. The fifth thing is to ask a question. In prayer, saying, Father, what do you want to say to me in this moment? What do you want to say? And it's just taking time to listen in His presence. For me this morning, that what meant I heard that He was proud of me. That He saw the work that I've been doing and the labor that I've been going about. And I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't necessarily looking for that. But I just felt the Spirit encouraging me and saying He was proud of me. And that built me up. That encouraged me. That gave me strength to continue to persevere in the labor that He's given me. So it's asking the Father to speak into that. And then this brings us to the last thing, is to close your time in prayer, a prayer of thankfulness. So thank the Father that He met you in that moment, whether your mind was distracted or not, but the Father was there. So thank Him. And then offer whatever it was that you felt or what you heard or what you sensed, and offer that to Him, and knowing that He's a good dad that can handle it. So that's the daily practice of silence. Now let's focus on the periodic practice of solitude. As I mentioned, these are more extended periods of times where you completely remove yourself from all distraction. For me, I go away somewhere for a night. I leave after dinner. I start my time in the evening. I sleep in as long as I possibly can because I don't realize how tired I actually am. And then I continue my prayer and my silence and solitude through that. So a lot of times this means there's no agenda. You're just learning to be in God's presence. But I found that a journaling exercise can also give some strength to this. And so in this journaling exercise, I ask 4 different questions. The first question I ask is, how are my relationships? Our friends at Crosspoint Ministries say that the quality of our lives is dependent upon the quality of our relationships. So this is a relational inventory. I start with my relationship with God. How is my relationship with the Father? Do I understand His love for me? Am I gospeling myself on a daily and regular basis? Am I engaging in practices where He can form my soul, whether it's slowing down, prayer, scripture reading, fasting? How's that relationship going? Then I move to my immediate family. How's my relationship with my wife, my children? Are the same way in which I talk about God the Father and that relationship? Am I spending those times? Am I doing those practices that allow for love to flourish? And then I extend it to my missional community, to my DNA group, our elder team, our church as a whole, and then beyond that. So how are my relationships? And I start with the inventory there. The second question I ask is, what have I learned that I need to remember? What have I learned that I need to remember? This is looking at the past season of your life and recognizing that God has been at work in and through you. He's been teaching you things. He's been showing you things. You've been feeling things. You've been experiencing things. And so this is an opportunity for you during this time to just remember those things. I try to categorize them, and I try to put these big learnings together. If you've been journaling, this is an opportunity for you to look back at your journal and reread it and see how God has answered your prayers, to see how He's been at work. And so what are the things that you need to remember? The third question is a prayer. And it's, God, what part of my story do you want to speak into? What part of my story do you want to speak into? This is allowing the Father to enter into your story, to bring healing where there is wounding, to bring wholeness where there's emptiness, to address things that are fueling you in how you go about living that you didn't even know was there. So this is an extended time of prayer, and it's just listening. Sometimes memories come to my mind, and I ask, Father, what's going on there? Is there something that you want to speak to me in that? Sometimes there's a few memories that as I start journaling and praying, they start to have common themes that the Father's trying to teach me in. And so what's part of the story is He addressing in your life, and what is He saying? And then the last question is, what dreams and desires do I have for the days ahead? This is a chance for the Father to fuel you about the days that are coming ahead. These are things that you may want to do. These are dreams that you may have, desires. This is a chance for the Father to maybe adjust what you were trying to do and put focus on certain areas. This is also a chance for you to think big. Father, I'm doing this, but what are the big, big dreams I have for my life and you have for my life? And how can I more fully align myself in that way? So this periodic, sometimes every other month works for me, sometimes quarterly. I've kind of landed on quarterly as much as possible, but a periodic, extended time of solitude, completely removing yourself from the rhythms of life so that you can focus on extended time with the Father. As you engage in these disciplines of silence and solitude, I pray that it builds up your love in Christ, that you see the gospel more fully, how much the Father loves you, that you're learning to abide in Him, and all of this is so that you can abound in the mission that He sent you to make disciples who make disciples.